Welcome back to another mini episode with myself, David Chambers. I'm your host. I'm a men's dating, relationship and intimacy coach. I've been working with men for over 15 years, helping in the world of love, connection and being better men. And today I'm going to talk about dating confidently. This is probably one of the top reasons that people come to work with me. This is going to be a short episode. It's probably going to be about, the normal length of these episodes is like 10, 15 minutes. And I'll say this at the beginning now. I've got a whole workshop that I ran in the past that's like 2.5 hours. That's about, dating confidently, dating authentically. And I've taken a few of the points from here. But if you really want to see that whole workshop, then just send me an email and I'll send it to you for nothing. Like no strings attached. You can get me at the Authentic Man, at the Authentic Man _ on Instagram if you're on there, or you can email me at hello@theauthenticman.net and I'll send it to you completely for free because it's a really good workshop. And I know many of the people I've coached have got a lot of value out of that. So, but these are some of the points, right? So, one of the first things to date more confidently is that we often don't really confident in our social skills, right? Maybe we have social anxiety, maybe we have not socialized much as young people, or whatever it may be, right? So the first thing is start talking to people more. Like talking to, whether that's you're in shops. The easy one I always recommend to my clients, right, is start talking to people in the shops you go in when you buy your coffee in the morning, in the supermarket. Where else do people go? Just like all the time. I work from home, right? So I'm a coach and I work from home. Even actually, when someone calls you up and they're like, hey, I'm from so-and-so place. And I'm asking you, they've called you and you just say, hi, hey, how are you? How's your day going? Like, how's your day going? They'll be like, oh, my day's going good. And if they ask you how your day is, then actually expand a bit. Be like, oh, my day's going all right, really busy with X, Y, and Z. Or, where I am, the weather's really beautiful. I'm looking forward to going out for a run or going for a walk. Expand your conversation range. It's a very simple way that you can start to learn to be more social. And you don't want to just be doing this like once a month. You want to dedicate doing this every single day if you can. Doing one more interaction, one that's more expanded. It makes a massive difference, compound over time. I've got a client who's one of the main things we had him do was just be more social, and it's revolutionized his dating life, right? So that's the first thing, being more social, talk to more people. That can be strangers in the supermarket and so forth. Just like, asking questions, being curious. Analyzing the stories that you tell yourself. We're always telling ourselves stories and narratives like, I'm not good enough, no one wants to date me, or I'm not interested, or I'm anxious, or I'm shy. Like all these narratives that we tell ourselves all the time. And the more we tell ourselves these things, the more true they become. So start to break these down. Start to go like, is this true? Is this always true? Like, have I got evidence to the contrary to this, right? Because often we'll have a narrative that we are unsuccessful, and we're only looking at the times that we've been unsuccessful, and we forget to look at the times that we've, created amazing podcasts, or we've had really good nights out, or we've done really well at work, or people have praised us a lot. We have a habit of deleting information that doesn't go along with our negative beliefs about ourselves, especially, and also dating. So it's really analyzing those. And like I said, I do this in my coaching sessions. It can be difficult to do alone, but there's various, journal prompts in the workshop that I can send you to help you kind of break these down. But it's really important to start to pick holes in these narratives and look for evidence of the contrary. Say, if you tell yourself that you're shy, when you do talk to a stranger, that might be some at the bus stops, it might simply just be like, hey, have you been waiting here a long time? It's a very common thing I ask people at bus stops because I'm always wondering, like, is it worth me staying? And they might say, no, I've only been here for 5 minutes. You're like, okay, cool. Like, I'm trying to get on this bus and I want to get to this place. And they might go, oh, yeah, I'm going a similar direction. Or you might say, okay, now, do you get this bus often? Sounds like a cliche question, but it's very true. Does it come often? And they're like, yeah, it comes quite often. You're like, okay, cool, thank you. That's just another interaction. But if you tell yourself you're shy, that's something that goes against the idea that you're shy, that you can do that. And you start to break down these negative beliefs. Another thing is identifying your fears and facing them. This is a really, really important part because when we face our fears, we grow. This might be a fear of talking about your emotions when you're dating, or it might be a fear of introducing women to your parents or something like that. Like breaking the fear down into small chunks and start to like knock off and face it. Like many years ago, I had a fear of, say, introducing my girlfriend to my friends, something I used to really avoid because I used to think it's a really big deal. So then I just introduced my girlfriend to one of my friends, and I was like, oh, this isn't the big drama I thought it was going to be. And that's also an important part of facing the fears, is acknowledging like, oh, actually, this wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, right? Really, really important, this. Another part of dating more authentically is feeling and expressing what you're feeling when you're dating. This might seem actually kind of contrary to the truth, but it's like something I've had a lot of my clients do is start to feel more, because then you're more present, right, to what you're feeling in this moment, not necessarily the story, right? And express it. Like maybe you're on a date and you say, first 5-10 minutes, you might go, oh, actually, I'm feeling a bit nervous, I'm feeling a little bit nervous. And I tell you this why. I'll tell you why. Confident people, right, this in inverted commas, they say how they feel because they know it's just a feeling. It's not a judgment. If I say I'm nervous, it doesn't mean I'm lesser than. It just means I'm nervous in this moment, and I can acknowledge that and b feel it and know that it's the case. So feeling emotion, expressing them, but also at higher levels of your dating experience. Like maybe you've had a bad day, and you talk to someone's texting you and messaging you, you've been on a few dates with, you saying, oh, I've had a really bad day. I'm feeling like X, Y, and Z today. This is what's happening. Like, it doesn't mean you're a negative person because you experience negative emotions. It just means you're human and you're normal like all of us. Another point here is expressing yourself honestly. Something that happens far too often is we think we need to pretend and lie and be someone else to be accepted in dating. One of the things that I work with is really helping people be more of themselves, because what they find is there's parts of themselves that they've never really expressed before that are really joyful and happy. And they've been hiding those things without knowing, and actually those things help them have better dating lives. Maybe it's there's a very humorous and jokey side of yourself, but you've been hiding it because you think people will be silly. People will think it's silly, or there's a part of you that's like really ambitious or really disciplined that you've been hiding because you think people think it's weird. And when we bring those out, actually, those are the golden parts that people really love in us, and we love in ourselves more importantly. Letting go of judgment is another piece. We often have so much judgment about other people, but more than anything about ourselves, we have this fear that other people are going to judge us. We're so afraid, like, oh, if someone judges me, they'll think I'm stupid, and oh, this will mean that. It doesn't mean anything. You could be listening to this podcast and thinking, David's a fucking idiot. He doesn't know anything. And you know how much effect that has on my life? Zero. That has zero effect on my life. Zero effect on me. Because that's just your opinion. And it doesn't actually make any difference. Like, you could send me an email saying, oh, everything you say is rubbish. Cool. Like, yeah, maybe I might feel it for a few minutes. Like, okay, what have I done here? Like, maybe there's some feedback for me, maybe. But it's not going to mean that you're right over the hundreds of people that I've worked with whose lives I've transformed and helped them transform. It's like getting that perspective that someone's thoughts about you do not have to dictate your reality and how you think about yourself. Your fear of failure and fear in general doesn't have to stop you. We have this idea in our minds, kind of unconsciously, that fear is an indication we should stop. Often our fears are completely irrational and are not based in the reality that we live in. And we just give them so much meaning and make them so large that they become these massive monsters in our lives. So this fear you have, or the fear of failure, whatever the fears you have is, it's so important for us to face these and tackle these, because the longer we leave them, the bigger they get, and getting support to do that can be really useful, as I've said in previous episodes. Action in your dating life. This is something I see with a lot of men. They kind of just get into this state of inaction where they're so afraid of getting something wrong, or so afraid of being judged or rejected, they don't take any action. Here's some journaling you can do, right? Get a pen and pad now to write down these questions. Is like, ask yourself, what is the thing that you'd really love to be doing? That might be doing more dating, that might be speaking to more women, that might be sorting out your dating profile, making it better, that might be let me think about this very quickly. It might be just like having more fun, more dates, more fun dates and stuff like that. Right? Expressing yourself more openly and honestly. Ask yourself, what is the downside of not taking this action? right? Write that out, and you can stop this. And obviously, and then in this area, what is the cost of inaction? What's it going to cost you if you take no action in this area? Because this is something we don't think about enough. We often think about what could go wrong, but we don't think about the cost of inaction. And in this area that you're thinking of, what is the upside and benefit of taking action? What good can come of it, right? And in answering these questions, you're going to see that not doing anything, right, is potentially one of the worst things you can do, right? But actually, the upside is so much bigger than the downside. And you can also ask yourself, what's the likelihood of this downside, this worst case scenario that you thought of, right? It's actually quite unlikely. And then you can also ask yourself, what's the impact on me if that happens, right? Because what you're going to start to see is there's actually very little impact on you and your life in the long term, but the upside is huge if you take action. And this should be able to help you and spur you forward again into taking action. I'm going to tell you, confidence isn't what you think it is. We have this idea that confidence is like knowing what to do, what to say, and how to be, and always feeling good about what we do. It's rubbish. That's not confidence. Confidence is just having a feeling that you can do something, right? Let me let you into a secret. Every time I record a podcast with a guest, literally every single one, I feel nervous beforehand. I could take that to mean that I don't have confidence in doing the podcast, right? I could easily make that mean that, I feel nervous, that means. But I just have accepted it as part of my podcasting experience. It doesn't mean anything, right? I know that I can podcast. I have a feeling I can do a good job, right? I've been doing it for a long time now. That's all confidence is having a feeling you can do something, right? And you can pretty much have a feeling you can do a lot of things if you look back at the evidence of what you've done in your life in the past. Again, I want you to, another point here, and I'm getting to the end now, is like replace judgment, right? Your judgments of other people, women are, men are, dating is, there's all judgments, these negative judgments that you have, right? Also yourself, like I am this or I am that. Replace judgment, right, with curiosity. Especially when you're with other people, is start to, instead of being like, oh, she didn't get back to me in an hour, that means that she's not interested. Replace that with curiosity, with like, I wonder what's going on for her that she has taken an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to reply, right? Instead of reacting to your judgment, reacting to your judgment could look like, okay, you've messaged someone on a dating app, they haven't replied for a day, and then you react to your judgment and the story around your judgment, like, oh, I'm gonna unmatch her because she's obviously not serious. Do you see there? That's judgment. Replace that with curiosity. But that might look like leaving it for a couple of days and being like, hey, how you doing? Like, I thought we were having a good conversation. Like, I hope everything's well. And the person might get back to you and go, oh, sorry, look, I've just been really mad busy, or something's happened with a loved one or something like that. Or it might be when you're dating someone, they might mention their ex during a date. And your judgment instantly goes to, oh, that means they're not over their ex. Oh, I can't date them. So instead of judgment, replace that with curiosity and be like, oh, like, how long were you guys together? Like, what happened in your relationship? Why would you say you're not together anymore? Because then you'll get to the answers instead of your assumed judgment. And our judgments are often very negative about other people, and they're not true, right? Your judgments are not true. They're just guesses on what's going on. Another thing, I think this is the last point. I've got a couple more, but you're going to have to send me details for the workshop if you want more. Is getting clear on what you want from dating, and getting clear on what sort of woman you want, or man, depending on your gender and you listening to this, or whoever you're attracted to, what you want in that person, like the values, the traits, the sort of feeling you want to get from being with them. Right? And also this type of relationship you want, the type of relationship structure. Do you want it to be a monogamous relationship? Do you want it to be an open relationship, polyamorous? Do you want to be able to be really open and honest about your feelings? Do you want someone who's going to be like radically honest with you, which means they might tell you things that you find hard to hear, but you get the honesty? Like, these are something we should get really clear on, right? Because then we start dating, we can actually start inquiring with the people that we're talking to and share what it is we're looking for and see if there's a match up between that. Now, I could do a whole workshop. I think I could do a whole 8-week program about what I've said today, because there's so much depth to this, right? There really is. And I might actually run an 8-week program about dating confidently, because it takes 8 to 12 weeks to make a shift and change in this area. But I hope these points are giving you some starting places, some things you can go and do, because just listening to more and more podcasts is not going to change your life. The key is in accountability and action, right? Those are the things, like showing up in a new way of being, taking action from that place of being, and coming back and taking more action, or being accountable for how those actions have been. So if you found today useful, I'd love you to share it with somebody, a friend, a family member, someone else you know who could really benefit from this. And if you're looking for some kind of one-to-one work and really learning to date authentically, and really wanting to date confidently, so that you're going into dates feeling good about your life, and your confidence starts to radiate into other areas of your life, then feel free to get in contact with me. You can find me at @theauthenticman_ on Instagram, or hello@theauthenticman.net. I offer people a free coaching call as well. So if you want to have a conversation, there's no strings there. I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm not going to pressure you into anything. I'm literally just going to try and help you as much as I can in that hour and a half, if you email me. And, enjoy. I hope you have a wonderful day.